What is going on, Movie Meals? We just got out of Brightburn. Finally got a chance to see it. We're basically reviewing tons of movies last week that we saw.
Sorry.
Already saw Booksmart. Go check that review. It's up on the channel. If you're wondering where we've been, if you're wondering why trailer reactions haven't been put up, go watch the Aladdin, the first minute and a half, 2 minutes of Aladdin, that review.
And then watch the
we
review.
will explain it if you want.
Do it.
But we are here for Brightburn Horror. Let's get into it. Kyle, what are your non-spoiler positives of Brightburn?
I'm trying to think of what to come up with now.
Really?
Did
you hate it?
No, well,
You want to go to me?
Yeah, why don't you got something? You got something?
Yeah, because I liked the movie.
Well, here, you go take it.
Brightburn is a fun horror film. It's a fun horror film with really cool gore, really cool action. At the we were about a little bit into the movie, and I was like, are we gonna get there? I want to get there, which we'll get into some of the negatives because there are a few for this movie. But I think when it does the gore, when we get into him going around as this like Superman, I think it works. It's not necessarily like it's scary. It's scary as jumping, it's yelling, it's freaking out with the gore. This is kind of just gore and a few little jump scares, and I like that. I like the gore, and like intimate pain in movies, like 127 hours when he's cutting his arm off, things like that. That's what gets me moving. It's not Pennywise waving a severed arm. That's not what gets me. It's the intimate stuff. There's a lot of the intimate stuff in this, and that's what I really, really dug. I thought it really worked. All the performances were fantastic. I thought the little kid did a really good job for what he was given. I thought Elizabeth Banks was great. The guy from The Office was really good. And I don't know his name. Do you know his name?
No, I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
But yeah, I liked it. I think it's a fun horror film. If you're a fan of horror, if you're a fan of superheroes, I think you will have a fun time in this movie, and I think you should go check it out in the theater where it's darker. It's more of an environment. The sound really worked. It had a really cool sound design that I really, really liked. It definitely rips on Superman. There's a lot of parts of the score that definitely are similar to Superman with the piano, a lot of shots like that. And I dug it. I thought it was a solid little extra horror movie James Gunn produced, and I dug it. So yeah, Kyle, you gonna actually participate in the review this time?
I'll try to.
Man, you really hated this movie.
I don't know. Like,
all right, just go to your negatives.
It just doesn't have a lasting impact on me. But I will say this though. Like, I do agree with you. Let me say my positives first. I finally got. You gave me a couple.
Give him 3 tries, and now he wants that I can't let him talk about it.
No, I do agree. I did like the concept about this movie. What if Superman was evil? I like that it was a superhero, supervillain, horror, thriller type movie. I really dug that. I do think that the actors were all very good, especially the young kid. I thought he did a very impressive job. He pretty much has to be the lead of this movie, and I think he really did a good job at transitioning from, a good kid in order to the dark side, kind of. I thought that was a really good performance that he gave with that, and there were some very good action sequences. That you are right though, a lot of very intimate horror, horror gore type stuff,
Loved
which I really appreciate too. It wasn't
torture porn type.
Yeah, well,
loved it.
Okay.
You never heard that term before?
No, I have. I just don't know if it's torture porn. I guess it.
Well, there are definitely scenes that are torture porn-esque.
But anyway, yeah, I thought that it was a very good concept, but and we'll go into this more of our negatives maybe, that just didn't quite hit the mark for me. But
well, Kyle, what are your negatives
about it? It was hitting the mark. I don't know, I didn't think that the story really did its job like I wanted it to do. I wanted to see this kid find out about these powers, about that he came from a distant land, and instead of, trying to have some good values that he got from his adoptive parents into making him, be a good person for the earth, instead finding a way to transition into making him be a villain of sorts. And I just didn't think that was quite addressed as much as it needed to. I think the family aspect was all done very well, but I think for him personally, I don't think it was done quite to the level that I hoped for. And I think some of the story beats in this movie kind of felt a little bit scattered to me. It's kind of hard for me to explain without spoiling some things too much. I don't know if it was an editing thing or maybe it was just how the script was written, but I don't know. I just felt like it was kind of all over the place in order to get to a certain end goal to the climax of the movie, where I think it could have been kind of condensed together a bit differently to help the story get a better, more natural flow than it felt like it did.
Well, we need to talk off screen because I thought it was a pure straight shot, and that's one of my negatives about it is because I think a lot of the built up, our one of our good buddies had said this to me, and I really agree with him when we got out of the movie, is that I think a lot of it's undeserving. I want to see a little more of the world. I want to see a little more of why he acts that way. There's not a lot of background on him in this movie. It just kind of goes for the horror.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just a straight shot from these are the kids. Let's just get to him being bad and let's do that. So for me,
I agree with you on
that was the biggest problem. I thought, the uncomfortableness of the gore really works in those moments. Is the payoff as good if you set up a great story from start to finish? No, so it lacks in that, but I think it's a solid horror film. I think it's a fun horror film that I would watch again one day and years from now when someone's like, oh, remember Bright? Let's watch that on Netflix or something like that. That's this type of movie for me. But I do think it's worth seeing in the theater. It's definitely not for everybody. I think you got to be a horror fan to really like it. But yeah, it does lack in the story department, and I think that comes down to the script quite a bit. So those are my negatives. You got anything else?
No, I think parts of the movie work and the concept is really interesting, but it's like what you were kind of saying. It felt like there wasn't a payoff to the character that it really needed for this movie. I don't think it quite hit the mark, and I think that's mostly why it's going to become kind of a forgettable horror movie for me personally. I just don't think the payoff was there for that way it will be
I'm not
that
gonna let
memorable.
him forget about it.
A couple years from now,
yeah,
let's watch Brightburn.
the end. I think when you see the ending of the film, I really understand where people might be like, oh, that's not a lot of, not that you are, but I just think in general that people will be like, that's not my payoff.
Yeah.
For me, I liked it. It has a couple twists and turns. I kind of dug that. So I think it works. So guys, I would recommend go checking it out. So go do that in theaters. And when you see all these other movies you reviewed, remember to also go see Endgame for the 19th time to get it past Avatar. We need about 80 million. Let's do it. All right, guys. Comment below thoughts, whatever, like, subscribe, share. Nobody makes it this far anyway. If you do make it this far, comment below and just say hi. All right, guys, thanks for watching, Mom.
See you guys.